applause for Ritu for joining us and being with us to give this welcome address. She has around 16 plus years of QA consulting and implementation experience with financial services primarily. She has been providing digital assurance solutions for mobility, IoT, cloud, microservices, service virtualization, customer experience, UX, and digital transformation. She is a storyteller, an agile enthusiast, extensive experience driving test automation in the cloud transformation with very in-depth knowledge about cloud platforms. She obviously believes in sharing her knowledge. She has been doing it with us for a lot of events. She has been a keynote speaker and a panelist for leading conferences, including the one which we organized last year, which is ATA GTR 2009. With that, let me please, I will stop sharing my screen, and I would like to basically welcome Ritu here to deliver the welcome address for our virtual meetup number 2. And guys, make sure that you tweet about this and don't miss a chance to win the award. Ritu, all yours.
Thank you, Aditya. Just 1 second, let me share my screen and that's.
Sure.
Thanks, that's great. Good afternoon, everybody.
Good afternoon.
Thanks, Aditya, for the warm welcome and ATA for giving me an opportunity to speak on this forum with a topic which is very close to my heart and the topic which is impacting all of us present here and across the globe as well. Reimagining QA in digital transformation. While I'm speaking, in case if you feel that I'm like too loud or in case if there are issues with audio, just let me know so that probably I'll put the video off. I thought it would be a good idea to have the actual virtual feel to connect with all of you.
Yes, I think we can, we have no issues except that you may want to be a little more louder, Ritu.
Is that any better?
Yes, thank you so much.
Great. So guys, we all live in a world where everything is connected, where everything is equally excellent. Science fiction these days is becoming a science fact. Think about self-driven cars or computers that can learn, analyze, take decisions. Earlier, business as usual was good enough, but it's no more the same. And where we are going, good enough itself is not enough. The way we used to work has changed. We don't know what the new normal would be. Are we going to return to the same thing or it's going to be changing? We need intensely different skills in this digital world because here winning or losing are happening faster than ever. So as a QA, what is the response of our community? How we are discovering new opportunities in one of the most transformational time in human history. So today's presentation, I'm going to discuss how QA is being reimagined in the continuously transforming digital world. Traditionally considered as the weakest, basically slowest link in the software development process, QA today is leading from the front to enable digital transformation. Are we enabling the speed of testing as well to improve the experience, which is basically the driving factor for digital transformation? Digital, a lot of people keep on talking about digital. So it's basically not only the technology, but a mindset. People, they often misunderstand what is doing digital, having a website, a mobile app, a social media account, or online shopping. It's not just building an app these days. All these certainly fit into the digital criteria. However, it hardly scratches the surface. The true impact is much broader. Let me minimize this so that all of you can see it. Sorry, I didn't notice that earlier. Digital is the convergence of social media, mobile, and the web. Together, all of these have created a connected consumer, and these connected consumer are looking for this digital access at their convenience when they want it without interrupting their life with the devices of their choice and instant result. Their last experience becomes their expectation, the minimum expectation going forward. Digital transformation is all about putting the customer and his experience at the center of the business. It is not only the availability of new digital technology, but the ability for tech companies to solve the traditional problems in entirely new ways. Reimagine the problem statement in the context of digital era, wherein all these customers, the connected customers that we are talking about, relate and buy things because of the experience the organizations are bringing them, because of the transformational power that they are getting. And global enterprises are rapidly shifting their businesses and IT operations to become competitive, efficient, and profitable by adopting digital transformation. It is enabling the businesses to be agile in their go-to-market strategies. Technologies are helping entrepreneurs to develop new business models and disrupt the established way of running operations. The way cloud-enabled infrastructure have evolved, the new DevOps techniques driven by Docker, Kubernetes are bringing agility to expand the IT capacity and business scalability. Enough said about the digital world. I understand that all of you have a fair context of it. However, in all this, is QA losing its distinct identity? I'm not talking about only the quality. Quality is the implicit thing that everything an organization does. I'm talking about specifically QA. Is QA losing its distinct identity? Well, yes, this is what reflects in multiple conversations with the business leaders. That's why this is more important conversation here at this platform, since we all are from QA community. It's very relevant for existence, whether it is good or bad. So what I think is, there is a significant shift. Traditional QA is losing its separate identity, but the relevance of quality is nowhere lesser. Any thoughts, or anyone in the audience would like to share your observations on this particular point here? Feel free to say that, or else we can have Q&A towards the end.
Sure, I think I am in agreement, and we will request people to send in on the chat. And I'll speak that aloud if somebody types in.
Perfect. If you see this slide, is QA dead? What are your thoughts? Have you come across these situations while talking to your peers, your bosses, or the different teams? Not exactly this, but similar thoughts. QA is brink on the extinction.
I think Nimesh is of the counter view. Nimesh is saying QA is leading right now.
Yeah, QAs are leading. I don't deny that. I'll come to that point. Nimesh, I'll of course have this point here, because that's why I am here to talk about it. Specifically, I'm talking about when I say.
And Ritu, one more, I think,
yeah.
Can I just bother you? Arvind also says QA has embedded itself into all aspects of IT.
Absolutely. This is what I'll come to it. What I'm talking about here is the traditional QA. So you would have heard the terms when you are going for recruitment as well, or if you look at the job market, people are not only looking out for plain functional testers, they are looking out for SDETs. And when you talk to business leaders, usually what comes to their mind is QA is acting as a toll gate, trying to reduce the speed. Is this something that we are doing? And as most of you said, this is definitely not true, and therefore I am here. So where are we on our journey? We are evolving. Coming to Nimesh, and one more name you said.
Yes, in fact, there are two more comments. Let me just say it for you. So there is Venkatesh who said QA is not dead but evolved from early part of it, more broader now, including automation and AI. Gaurav says that QAs are playing a major role, especially in TDD model. And Tarun says that, but in this DevSecOps world, even the test cases are sometimes written by DevOps guys.
Absolutely. QA is embracing agile and DevOps methodologies and managing the unpredictability that comes with testing within agile and DevOps teams. QA these days is working beyond the pass-fail paradigm and enhancing the overall process. Expectation from QA these days is not only to just act as a toll gate and say whether to go to the production or not, but basically we are helping it out, collaborating with the business to enhance the overall experience. The kind of automation that has been built. This is what I'm gonna be talking about in my presentation today. So the themes that I've taken is QA orchestration in Agile and DevOps, intelligent automation in QA, AI, ML, and QA, apart from the traditional way of functional security, performance, and load testing. These are the more prominent emerging areas wherein QA is flourishing the presence. So the first theme here is QA orchestration in Agile and DevOps. Needless to say that what we see on the ground, the boundaries, the way people have commented, boundaries between dev, ops, and testing are blurring. The silos are giving the way to new ways of working. Most of the business units, even at Pfizer, are using DevOps in one or the other form of the enterprise, even outside also. We see that more or less almost everybody is using DevOps. So when we say that a business unit or a particular company is using DevOps, it doesn't mean that 99% of their projects are 100% DevOps, but they are using it in one or the other project. One of the major challenges that is observed for this thing, I've taken my findings from the 2019 World Quality Report released by Capgemini. And one of the major challenges that has been expressed over there is lack of the skill that continues to be a challenge. The skill that we are talking about here is programming, scripting, deployment, these kind of skills that are required. At the same time, we observe that the skill boundaries between the developer or a DevOps person or a tester, these are also blurring. These days, you go to hire any kind of a role. Everybody expects you to be a hands-on person. They expect at least you know some sort of programming skill. They should know. If you talk about testers as well, they should know how to code, which will be used for testing purpose. You're not developing the feature specific or function specific things, but you would be developing the automation code to test those features. So while recruiting these days, we are looking out for all the programming skills, but with a mindset of tester. I think I would be good to have in between if people have their opinion. Basically, I would like to have it as a
Sure.
conversational thing. I'm okay.
So guys, if you want to have any questions or basically if you want to respond to something, please unmute yourself and go ahead and speak out. Ritu, you can ask any questions to them.
Sure. I would be good if people are having some sort of questions. I might not be able to answer everything here or cover it over here, but I want people to have some kind of questions in their mind when we are ending this presentation.
Sure.
So skill is something because as a delivery leader, when we look out for any sort of automation transformation programs or digital transformation program, this is a major challenge that we have observed that if we talk about the in-house skill set of people, we basically have a entire generation which has been doing the traditional way of testing, and people are a bit reluctant about coding. However, this is pretty much changing these days. Additionally, what we look for is, along with the programming skills, if the domain expertise is added on top of your programming scripting skills, it is coming out as a strong profile need. Second challenge that we see is lack of intelligent and connected ecosystems. Though we are very much talking about DevOps, everybody is doing a lot of POCs with a lot of high-tech work. We have observed that we still are working in silos, and while you may have environments, you may have the data, but you are still residing in silos. There are challenges with respect to the availability, and probably somewhere culture is also, one of the reason here that we can talk about. So if you look at the industry pattern for last 15-20 years, or probably when I started with my career, okay, so let's go a bit before that. Okay, in 90s there were no separate testers, and then with 2000, starting 2000, there came a boom of software testing jobs. There were multiple departments, even multiple companies that were created only for testing purpose, who would be doing a lot of testing work for you. And if you look at the service-based organizations, there came a culture wherein all the multiple specialized testing departments were being created. Now, this entire generation, they have been doing a special kind of testing only. So when what I mean by special is, if people are doing UI testing, they would be doing only UI testing. If they are doing testing for mobile, they would be only doing it for mobile. API and all, it would be falling under, again, the specialized testing, and people only would be specifically doing for API testing. And they will, basically, if you are doing functional testing or any other things, performance or load, or, okay, let's not get into too much of specialization, but that time has actually created silos wherein people would not prefer to touch each other's boundaries. So this entire, now, transforming this entire generation is again a cultural shift here. One of the solution here could be, hiring the campus freshers whom we can actually train onto the programming skills and deploy it to the projects. Now, these people are absolutely good with the technical skills, but the expertise that the existing generation, the application knowledge, the testing skills that this entire generation brings with them is somewhere always needed. So when we are looking out for these transformation programs, we actually have to balance out hiring the new folks, transforming your existing workforce. Second thing is, when we are looking out for these transformations, why not to define lightweight test methods with focus on relevant KPIs for Agile and DevOps? What do we exactly mean by lightweight test methods or easy to develop frameworks? So here we are trying to balance out. Why not to make things easy, fun to do work? Let the existing people work it out. So for example, let us consider if you are moving from continuous testing, in traditional testing, there could be a KPI. What is the percentage of time taken by QA in the overall life cycle? This becomes irrelevant now when we have moved to continuous testing, because you are saying that I'm going to start my QA from day one. And if you're starting from day one, then it would be 100%. So, well, the traditional matrix will not be a good thing to say that QA is taking 100% of the cycle time. So, we need to define the KPIs that are relevant in today's time. In fact, you would have seen that when we are working on the projects these days, we are not separately defining out KPIs dedicatedly only for the QA effort. Everything that we are defining these days are pertaining to the business. We are rethinking and reimagining how things are supposed to be working, and as well as the process. The second aspect that we were talking about is accelerating the workforce here. So we spoke about a large pool of testers who are very comfortable doing the old way of testing, and when we are transforming, it's dealing with these things technology is something that people can always learn. It helps and facilitates the things. But for making people learn new things, it's all again your people aspect comes into the picture. Basically, how you deal with the people, how you help them accelerate, and how do you balance out getting the new folks into it and training the existing folks. Let's focus more onto what is their skill set, and let's try to flourish more of that aspect. It could be the business domain knowledge, or it could be their programming skills. It would be great to have a combination of both. And let us move to the third point here, which is very important, particularly for the large enterprises. Don't neglect end-to-end testing. Orchestrate it intelligently. So when we are working into this new agile way of working, a lot of times the challenges that we have observed as people are working in their in-sprint automation mode, they are absolutely doing a fantastic job. Okay, in sprint, whatever the features come, they are perfectly automating it. But the thing that needs to be thought upon is who is responsible for end-to-end testing here. When there are like Scrum Masters or the Scrum teams, each one is looking into their own user stories, because this is what their scope of work is. Who is accountable for this end-to-end testing? This is one of the challenges we see that when businesses are going for agile adoption, and this is probably where you'll see the adoption of SAFe as well for the larger enterprises, which is higher than the rest. This is a very important topic wherein we need to thoughtfully think about the automation that has been created, how you can leverage it, how you can leverage this automation for your end-to-end testing needs as well. How much confidence you have to ensure the automation work that has been. I'm not sure how come I'm getting this poll again and again. And of course, with the new way of working comes the newer governance models. We need to think about it. How do we need to measure or track the progress that we have? Second major thing that I want to talk about here is intelligent test automation. Surprisingly, even today when we check the automation status or we look at the reports, we see that it's not a very high percentage. Even we'll see that popular, I mean, a lot of people are doing a lot of automation work. It could be model-based testing, the way Tricentis test to start reports, or it could be automation at the API layer, even test environment virtualization via containerization, be it RPA, headless automation, test data automation. However, at ground level, when we check how much of an API or microservices are automated, if you actually look at the results, the survey results shared by Gartner or this World Quality Report, you'll see that still in 2020, the API test automation is still very low. It's like less than 30%. And there are a lot of enterprises that are still looking at starting with UI and automating all the way downwards rather than looking at each of these layers and attacking them separately. And one more thing is when we are talking about intelligent test automation, still we are talking about a lot of AI work that is on, but usage is still not prevalent. What is recommended here is basically building an intuitive, dynamic, and intelligent framework that is able to that takes care of your test data generation, your on-demand environment needs, with a wide stack of open source tools there are available. So you need to be, this is truly an opportunity for us to reimagine test automation, because the traditional way of automating has become mainstay. So these days, even if, if you ask the teams, they might be having 85 or 90% of automation. If you ask them how really they are helping to cut down the cycle time, or exactly only onto the basis of automation running the regression, are they comfortable moving the code to production, you will see that they think differently, and they still do not have that much of confidence onto their automation packs. So here we need to really think differently and create a framework that answers the questions like, are we automating? What is it that is required? As a part of continuous testing, are we focusing on what matters? Are we looking out for robust framework so that we know what needs to be, dynamic, resilient, or there could be a lot of adjectives, but we need to think, are we reimagining the testing and test automation the way it is needed? Because at the ground level, you'll see that almost if you talk to any of these business leaders, everybody will say that we are on CI/CD, we are doing a lot of automation work. All my teams are 80% of my teams are in sprint mode. But the ground realities are different. One more aspect here is, if you are looking at the digital portfolio, things are much better because these are newer technology stack. We have the skill set available in the market, and relatively it is easy to maintain these products technically as well, even from test automation perspective. However, things are a bit difficult towards the legacy part of the business because it's entirely different. And the key is, you need to see how do you bring the flavor of both the things together and get into an automation stack wherein what matters, what is it required. If you are getting into the continuous testing mode, if there are issues, you should basically know and understand, say, if this component is missing, can you leverage service virtualization over here? Can you mock this particular system and have the entire intelligent automation in place? The foremost thing, this topic is very hot, AI and ML, and every time we talk about the intelligent automation.
Sorry, Ritu, Santosh here.
Hey, Santosh.
Can you go? So I just would like to know what kind of automation when you say it's a dynamic or intelligent.
Santosh, your voice is
can you
breaking
define
a bit.
In terms of framework?
Santosh, your voice is cracking. Can you type down your question? I'll repeat it for you.
Yeah, sure.
I understand that you are asking about automation, but your voice was breaking. I couldn't understand it fully.
Yeah, I could not even. So we're just waiting for
dynamic automation you are talking about, right?
Yeah.
Now it's yeah. So dynamic or intelligent automation framework. So can you explain a little more about it? Like,
sure.
Yeah.
See, there is no one solution that fits in all. We have to understand the system, and we need to understand, are we really automating what is needed? Is it giving us the results? Why I'm talking about this is, if you look at the ground level, if you talk about 100% agile teams who are onto instant automation, they are actually automating all the stories that are coming up. They are maintaining a backlog of automation as well, and they are internally automating each and everything. But now when we talk about the end-to-end stuff, if I'm looking out for a full-fledged end-to-end flow, have they created some stuff over there? Is their framework dynamic enough to take care of if there are going to be certain changes, if they are going to be taken care of? So we need to think about, is it something that is basically to focus on what matters and what not? You need to have a clarity. It depends on to the system, what is it that we are going for. So primarily, you should be understanding technology. You should be knowing what the goal of the release is, and your automation efforts should be pertaining to that goal.
So there is one question from, yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you.
There's one more question Jacob is asking. Are we ready to accept AI and ML in QA as of today? Is it just using off-the-shelf tools and components? How can QA be ready for it in newer future? So there are 3 questions actually.
So let me talk about AI and ML in
Sure.
QA.
Yeah.
Clearly, Jacob, things are maturing, but the domain is still evolving. There are still line of thoughts wherein we are saying, is it effective? Have you looked at the practical implications? Have you checked what is the outcome? A lot of pilots are there, and the actual outcomes we are still waiting. So in case if your team member also, if they come, someone says that I can prioritize your test cases and you can cover the entire testing with maybe 40% or 50% of the test cases. The question is, your business leader will straightway ask you, what is the risk you are taking? And even a lot of customers, we actually have tried this out. Until and unless that is tried and tested, your customers would be always in a mood. They want to have smart testing solutions in place, but is it really they are worth taking the risk? People don't want to, I'm sorry. People don't want to take a risk. It is more into their mindset shift as well. Though a very smart solution is available that can actually help them out, cut their release time or prioritizing the test cases, what needs to be executed, what not, and there could be like hundreds of scenarios. But are there people who really want to take the risk and see that I trust the solution and depending on this, my code goes into the production? So we need to think about, is your algorithm good enough? Have you tested it after implementation and seen the benefits? If yes, the solutions are matured enough, people are using. But this is still, if we talk about testing, my thing is, though there are a lot of AI ML use cases, implementations that are happening in testing, we are still exploring a lot of areas, though it is relevant, starting with prioritizing the testing, predicting the defects, doing better planning, looking at the code coverage, or maybe creating a regression suite in an automated fashion. There are a lot of use cases available. But the question is there a relevant significant amount of effort done in this? Even if you think about the AI/ML scenarios, one of the prominent areas that people are researching these days is production data analytics. Now, how you can make sense of the production data, and now how you can use that insight to further strengthen your processes. And if you talk about the testing side, okay, as I said, that a lot of research has been done in this field. Now, how you can leverage that research, basically the insights, towards your testing side of it. How does that analysis is helping you, or how do you tie it with the type of testing that you are doing? This is basically a very quite interesting area, and a lot of people who are doing research in this area. Things are still evolving. If you talk about at ground level, we are still into the CI/CD mode. We would be actually executing. So there are intelligent tools available who will tell you if this particular feature is developed, this part of the code is not even touched. Still, the business leaders at times when they have the bandwidth, they would expect you to execute all your regression suites and let the code. People are, the risk-taking capability depends on to how much that solution is being accommodated here. So this definitely is evolving.
Hi Ritu.
Yeah.
Hi Ritu, Savita here. I just wanted to ask, or want you to give your opinion on the lack of right skill set. So, for example, in the current situation, companies are just going with the latest technology. So, for example, currently I'm working as an automation tester with the Java, with the Selenium. But just the business is learning some new technology or a language name like Python or all. They want everything to be done on the Python, so they can just show up all these things that we are So we are using new technologies to their respective stakeholders. So they're forcing people sometime that start with the Python or something. So at this point, I'm not at the means my skill set are correct. I'm pro in Java. I'm doing at automation from the scratch and all these things, automating the scripts and all these things. But just company wants or any requirement is like we should start with the Python. So how can we cope up with such a demand, or how can we just make a balance of it? Because immediately we cannot learn the new language suddenly, because it's a new language. So we need to just have a study of it and then start the implementation. So in the practical scenario, how can we cope up these things to be in the lack of right skill to the pro in the right skills?
Learn to manage your boss.
And just Ritu, one suggestion
Yeah.
here. We are just a time check. I think we have few more minutes for you to wrap it up if it's
Okay.
possible. Okay.
Yeah, sorry, I didn't realize. I think we are almost on to the second last slide. Just give me a couple of minutes, and Savita, I'll come back to your answer, or maybe we can offline take it up.
Yeah, sure,
See,
no problem.
I understand the situation like yours. See, if you think it from the boss's perspective, we have a particular vision and a goal, and we want to have the company moving towards that. So this is again the same thing that we have been talking about, the workforce transformation. Either we train the people onto it, or we identify. See, effectively, it's all the needs are driven by the business. So either we train the people onto that area, or in case if we have work pertaining to their strong skills set, let's try to align things that ways.
Yeah, I got it. Yeah, sure. Thanks, Ritu.
So when I have been talking about this skill, even we see that testers are also a bit working in their profound, things that these are the only things that I want to learn, or probably these are the only areas that I want to go with. So my suggestion here would be like, even as a tester as well, you need to look beyond your testing skills. It could be analytics. It could be thinking from a product manager perspective, wherein you can get a different aspect altogether into the product development life cycle. So you know what is it that is required when you are particularly doing the testing, and you have an upper hand because you are analytically, or you have other skill set as well. Certainly, but we have a huge scope here to see and figure it out what AI and ML has in QA. With this, I would like to conclude and conclude with a quote. The illiterate of the 21st century will not be those who cannot read and write, but those who cannot learn, unlearn, and relearn. Disruption is the new normal. So we have to figure out, are we driving the change or we are driven by it? This change is exponential. And the future is about holistic business models, not single improvements, but the complete transformation. Not only, we're not talking about the individual systems, but the entire ecosystems, and that to a connected ecosystem which can keep pace with the technology advancements. I think I'm done. And sorry for taking up more time.
Thank you so much. I think this is really wonderful. And this slide at the last, which is that the illiterate of the 21st century will not be those who cannot read and write, but those who cannot learn, unlearn, and relearn. I think this is very well put through. Thank you so much for this wonderful welcome session, Ritu. It actually sets the tone. Really wonderful. And guys, if you have any, thank you so much, Ritu. Guys, if you have any questions, you can post it now. We'll probably take it a little offline because we're running a little late. Okay. Can I, Ritu, request you to basically unshare? I will share the screen now. Is it okay?
Sure. Yeah.
1 second.
Done. And I go on mute.
All right. Thank you so much. Guys, if we can have round of applause, you can unmute yourself. This would be the time to really have a big round of applause for Ritu here. Can we all applaud?